Hello first grade, we are going to get started on your pop art project today. You're going to need some crayons, markers, a half sheet of paper, and a full sheet of paper. And then last thing you're going to need is a water cup and a small paintbrush. Now this project may take you a couple of days to do. I don't expect you to do it all in one day. But let's get started. I want you to set your big sheet of paper aside and try and keep that nice and clean. And we're going to start with your half sheet of paper. So you looked at the slides and you found out what pop art is. We're going to create pop art, and I wanted to figure out something that was iconic or something that people could identify from just about anywhere in the world. So here's some things that I came up with. A pencil. Just about anywhere you go in the world, people could identify that as a pencil. One of my favorite things, obviously, food. So I think ice cream is very iconic. And so you can choose to draw any image that you think is iconic. If you're not choosing to draw with me, I want you to find a picture or find the actual object and have that in front of you to draw from, because you're always going to draw better if you can see the object. So I'm going to do a cupcake today. I'm going to start, and I have my half sheet of paper. I want to fill up my half sheet of paper as much as I can with this cupcake. So I'm going to start at the bottom with the cupcake wrapper, the little sleeve that they come in. I'm going to start with a curve. Now I'm going to make my two straight lines, and they're going to go outward just a little bit. That looks pretty even. And then the cupcake wrapper kind of has a zigzag at the top. Take your time, and if you need to stop the video to do your drawing, you can stop it and start it when you're ready to move on. I'm going to add a little bit of the folds into my wrapper. Now I want to do some fancy frosting on my cupcake here. I'm going to start with a letter C curve. I'm going to make another one over on the other side. I'm going to add a nice curve. And I'm going to add another letter C. I'm going to come in a little bit so that my frosting is getting smaller as I go upward. Now you can do your cupcake the way that you want to. You can draw it different than me. And I'm going to finish it off. I just have a little stretched out S curve here. And one more curve. Ooh, we could get really creative and we could stick something on top. We could do some sprinkles on there. You could put a cherry on top. I'll put a highlight on my cherry. So take your time make your cupcake or whatever iconic object you're making, you're drawing the way you want it. Once you have it just the way you want it, this is the one that we're going to use to make two identical copies. So once you have it just perfect, you're going to take your black marker. This could be a Sharpie marker or a regular Crayola marker like what I have here. And I'm just going to outline. I'm going to finish outlining and I'll come back. Alright, I have finished outlining my cupcake. I also added a little shadow at the bottom. And I'm going to place this underneath my good piece of paper. I'm going to match up the corner of my good piece of paper with the bottom corner of my cupcake drawing. So if you can look right here, I've matched up the corners. And I can see my black lines right through my piece of paper. I'm going to use my pencil to trace them. So you want to keep your drawing nice and still, keep your paper nice and still while you trace. You can see my cupcake wrapper is starting to take shape. I'm going to finish tracing my whole cupcake, all the lines that I wanted to keep, all the lines that I traced. Alright, so I have finished tracing my cupcake. I am going to take my outlined cupcake drawing and I'm going to line it up with the other side of my good paper so I can trace it again. Alright, I just finished tracing my second cupcake, and you can see by using this method I have two identical cupcakes. Now save this drawing, your first drawing, and decorate it and use it for something else. I bet somebody in your house would love to have one of your drawings. Maybe make it into a card for them. Alright, now we're going to use our crayons to outline. You saw in the pop art slides that there are bright colors in pop art, lots of eye-catching colors. And sometimes there's black outlines. So you can decide if you're going to use a black crayon or if you're going to use other colors to outline with. This is just going to be an outline to help hold our marker in. So I want you to look through your crayons and select some colors that you like, that you think look nice together. So I want you to pick some warm colors and some cool colors. I have a few colors right here. I think I need one more cool color. I like a green in there too. So when you outline, you are just going over those pencil lines. Now, if you don't like seeing the pencil lines through your crayon, you could use an eraser and lightly erase them first so you can still see them, but once you go over them with a crayon, you won't be able to see them very well. So let's see what that looks like. There we go. So even though I drew it in pencil, kind of looks like I drew it in crayon first. So I'm going to finish outlining both of my cupcakes with crayon. You don't have to do them the same color. You could do the second one completely different colors, but you're only outlining with the crayon. Alright, I am going to start with my markers now. And I think I'm going to start on the cherry here. You're going to see I'm going to leave some white spots And that's okay because we're going to use our markers kind of like watercolor paints. I'm going to try just a little bit of blending, so I'm going to add a little bit of violet here to give my cherry a shadow. You can see at the bottom my shadow is on the right side, so I want to have the shadow on the cherry on the right side also. I'm going to use some green. It's kind of a nice shadow color for my frosting. You can always add in more marker if you need to before you start wetting the paper. I'm going to do a little bit of yellow in here for the highlights or the shiny spots. Maybe a little bit of yellow over here. I'm hoping that the yellow and green will blend together to make a yellow green or a lime green color. Kind of like my outline color. And then on the other cupcake, I will do completely different colors. Maybe a little bit more green down here. Now take your time and put your color in. And feel free to push pause on the video. So I've used pink and red on my cupcake wrapper. I used red over on the right side, my shadow side. I'm just going to finish up. Oh, my light blue marker is a little dry. Might have to go get some new markers. I better put some more marker into my shadow. Alright. Now you don't want to take a break between your marker and your water because you want the marker to be as fresh as possible when you do this. So I've just got a wet brush. There's no paint. It's just a water cup and a brush. And I'm going to go along the marker and I want to stay inside my crayon lines. I'm being very gentle, never pressing on my paintbrush. And my red and my violet are blending together. I'm being very gentle, but I am working the two colors together. So when I want to change colors completely, I've got greens down here. You do want to wash off your brush because it's picked up some of that marker color. So my crayon lines are going to keep my water and the paint that I'm making with the markers inside my shape. So right in here where my red cherry is touching my green frosting, I don't have to worry too much about those colors mixing as long as my paintbrush doesn't cross the crayon line. So you'll see that I'm pulling my paintbrush towards me. That's just good paintbrush practice. Never push your bristles away from you and never put heavy pressure on your brush. So you can see I keep going back and dipping my brush in the water as I need more water. And I am getting that left side of my cupcake to be a lot lighter. Now another good color that I could have used if I wanted to get a heavy shadow for my green frosting, I could have put a little bit of blue over here on the right side also. Alright, I'm going to finish wetting this cupcake and blending my colors. I am just finishing up in my shadow. And I will be ready to move on to my second cupcake while this one dries. Alright. So over on my second cupcake, I think I want to use some different marker colors. You can see my mess over here. So I had outlined with blue on my frosting. I think this time I'm going to go completely different. So I'm going to add in some pink over here. That'll have a lot of contrast from the blue. Maybe a little bit of red as the shadow. Maybe a little shadow right underneath the cherry too. Oh, I guess I'm doing this one in reverse. Of my first cupcake, I had a red wrapper and green frosting. Now I'm doing it just the opposite. I'm going to try this light green marker also. Yeah, maybe a little. I'm going to keep my cherry red. Maybe have a little bit more purple in it though. I just don't know if people will know it's a cherry if it's blue or green. Maybe some of you will make your cherries blue or green and I'll get to see how they turned out. You think we could call it a cherry, or if you make it blue, would we call it a blueberry? Who knows? Okay. So as soon as I've decided I'm done with my marker, I want to start with my water while it's all nice and fresh. I think the longer we give the marker to dry, the less it will work for the watercolor painting. And as you can see, it looked pretty messy before, but as I blend it out with my paintbrush, it's filling in the white spots and looks very nice. Alright, I am just about done with this second cupcake. Now after your painting has dried, you're going to want to leave it flat until it dries, but after it's dried, you're going to take a picture of it and you're going to send me the picture so I can grade your pop art project. Alright, so as I finish up here, I'm going to give that a chance to mix and then dry. I think that turned out pretty good. I hope you guys have a lot of fun making your pop art project. And remember, you don't have to do cupcakes. You can do whatever object you find to be iconic. Don't forget to sign your work, take a picture, and send it to me.